operating system and allows you to do all kinds of cool things, not only with D-Star and ham radio, but all kinds of other cool things as well. Usually we try to stick to D-Star, and so I would discourage other subjects relating to other digital ham radio modes, because our subject is D-Star here, so there are other nets around that talk about other digital modes, but we like to stick to D-Star here. So let's please do that. Well, before we get started, I'd like to ask if there's any Raspberry Pi news or announcements from anyone. If you have something like that, come on ahead now.
Hey, good evening, Randy, and I'll jump in with something that I learned on a Raspberry Pi today.
Okay, John, I will bite. How are you doing tonight? Come on ahead with your something you learned, so we can all learn from it. Go ahead.
Well, it's not necessarily amateur radio, but we do use Raspberry Pis for amateur radio. It took me a day and a few hours this morning trying to do an FTP off of my weather station Raspberry Pi that would not connect to my server. So I finally started looking at the scripts and the code, and I realized you cannot have a pound sign in your password in Linux, because a pound is considered a comment. My pound sign was right in the middle of my password. Everything after that pound sign was disregarded, and therefore my password wasn't going through. It only took me about an hour, all day yesterday and 4 hours this morning to finally figure that out. All by myself, but I have no hair left. KD7AAT.
Well, that's a good lesson to learn, that's for sure. Well, there's probably a workaround to that, around that, like some kind of a delimiter character. A lot of times a backslash is used as a delimiter character in a string in Linux, or possibly surrounding it in quotes, so it doesn't get interpreted like that. But anyway, so you figured it out. That's good. Sorry you lost all your hair there. Thanks, John. Anything else for us tonight in terms of news or announcements?
KV0ZSG. Randy, did you call for announcement? I just linked up here and I heard announcement.
Yes, and every time I do that, I have to refrain from singing the announcements song that I learned in Boy Scouts. I'll have to do that. Hi, Connie. KV0ZSG, yeah, if you have something, now would be a great time.
Okay, very good. KV0ZSG. Connie over in Kingwood, Texas, just north of Houston. Using a DV dongle to get in this evening. I do use a Raspberry Pi with a 440 DVAP and the 51 plus. That's my radio to get into D-Star also, but it's convenient to just use the DV dongle this evening. But anyway, yeah, I'd like to go ahead and put a plug in for the International D-Star Net, which is on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Time on Reflector 1C. And if you don't find us on Reflector 1C, it might be having problems. Usually doesn't, but if it does, you'll find us over on Reflector 2C. Anyway, I'll hand it back over to you, Randy. And good to hear you. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for letting me put a plug in for the International D-Star Net. Back to you, Randy.
Very good. Great to hear from you. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Any other announcements from anybody else out there that has something to inform the group? Come on ahead. Well, I was trying to look in my notes here to see what our backup reflector was, and I know Steve told me like a dozen times now, but I didn't write it down, so I've forgotten what it was. It's the reflector we used to use a long time ago before we switched to 38 Charlie. And they had some problems with it, and they fixed all those problems, so now it's our backup reflector. So 38 Charlie ever stops working, we're supposed to jump over that one. So I'm going to see if maybe Steve, KC9SIO, might be out there. Steve, can you remind me which one that is? KC9SIO, go ahead if you're out there.
7LEE. Reflector is 26 Alpha, so that would be the backup, KC9SIO.
AE5ME.
There we go, got Steve, 26 Alpha, REF026A. Will be our backup. And I saw a TED key up there, and and looky there, it even has that in his message. His D-Star message says 26 Alpha. Let's go to TED for a second. E7LEE, did you just type that in really fast before you keyed up? Go ahead, Ted.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I did. This is the advantage being at the keyboard using a dongle. Couldn't do it on the handheld. And Connie there, Victor Echo 7 XTT is looking for somebody to share a room with. And that, but yes. So just let everyone know, I am going down to Dayton there, so I'll go look to see what setups or what new accessories you can get for the Raspberry Pi. Maybe I might even break down and get the Raspberry Pi 3. I've got the 2 here, but I haven't put it, well, that's the one I use, because the other 2 I use full time. And I took both of them off the air now. Both of them are shut down, because I'm putting everything in storage. And that, so anyways, back to you there, Randy. This is E7LEE.
Well, why on earth are you putting everything in storage, Ted? Are you going somewhere? I mean, Dayton isn't really that long.
I'm going to the far... Here, let me make sure I'm transmitting. Well, this year, I'm going to the far side of the world, put it that way, where there's no internet, no radio. I guess we got electricity, that's good. And I hope we got running water, that's nice. And because before I used to go there, I had no running water, no hot water. You had to make a hot water. And you had to do the old-fashioned method to wash yourself. And that, well, anyways, yeah, so one of the rules are, if it's an unintended operation, you must be in control of the station. But since I will no longer be in control of the station, because where I'm going there's no cell phones or internet, I think they got telephones. Well, we'll see. But yes, so let's see what happens when I go there. So this will be an interesting trip. So I got to keep low profile when I go there, not to attract too much attention. Because yes, my actual job, which I tell people to kind of shock, I says, well, I'm going there as a bodyguard. And this is, where are you going? Well, I'm going, yes, because they do like to kidnap people where I'm going. So we just keep a low profile. I wear my worst clothing and that my junk clothing. Then when I leave, I throw it all away and I go to a place and buy all new clothing, all tailor-made. So back to you there, Randy. This is E7LE.
W7SST.
Yeah, we got W7SSK in there as well. So, well, very good. Thanks for that, Ted. Appreciate that information, and safe travels to you. Sounds like you're experienced doing it, so I'm sure it'll be no sweat. Let's see, I saw AE5ME in there, but it looked like he was trying to do an undo command, and he had an improperly formatted undo command. So anyway, so I'm going to ignore that one. Let's go to W7SSK. Good evening, Father.
Hi, Ray. Good evening to all on the net. Just enjoying, as usual, listening to all the chatter. And I'm still using the DVAP with the Raspberry Pi 2. And that thing is just rock solid. It just goes and goes and goes. So with this ID51, it makes a real nice combination. So I'll just continue listening and listen for what's going on. W7SSK, back to that.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, I have my DVAP Raspberry Pi wired into my car, so it runs directly from the battery. And then this last weekend, I ran a new wire. I found a little adapter that runs on, I think it's anything from 9 to 30 volts, and it puts out 5 volts in a micro USB. So I wired that into my dashboard in my car, and now my little Verizon 4G Wi-Fi hotspot is now permanently wired and running in the car. So the car is the internet hotspot for my Raspberry Pi DVAP setup that's also in the car. It's all running all the time. The only thing I have to worry about is if I leave my car parked for a few days, the battery will probably go dead, but I haven't done the testing yet to see how long the battery lasts. Let's see if there's anybody else out there that has news or information. We're still in the news or information stage. Come on ahead if there's anything else. Well, Raspberry Pi news. There's the newest Raspberry Pi was announced about a week ago. It's the Pi Zero W. So it's the Raspberry Pi Zero, but now it has built-in Wi-Fi, similar to the Raspberry Pi 3. The Raspberry Pi Zero is even smaller than a Raspberry Pi, and it has fewer ports on it, no Ethernet. I think it has one USB port. And probably is not really suitable for a D-Star hotspot. It just doesn't have enough capability. But if you could do it, it would be kind of cool because it's very small. What we need is a DV Mega that's shaped like the Raspberry Pi Zero that connects to it. That would be kind of neat. Yeah, maybe the guys that make the DV Mega take a hint. Anyway, that's about it for my Raspberry Pi news, and it doesn't sound like anybody else has any others, so let's open it up to any station that maybe has some question for us, or wondering what this net's all about, or just has a statement to make for us. So come on ahead.
KK6PR.
Very good. We got a taker. Thank you for stepping up, KK6PR. What you got?
Good evening, Randy and the net. This is Rick, KK6PR, here in Crooked River Ranch, Oregon, Central Oregon. And I just got my new DV Mega dual band running on a Raspberry Pi 3 using the Wi-Fi. And I'm using an ICOM ID51 plus 2. And I'm running the Maryland D-Star image. And everything seems to be working properly. At least it's working so far. But I've had a problem trying to get the commands to work. I was trying to be able to reboot it from my computer, from my handheld. And for some reason, after pulling through the manuals and the Maryland instructions, I haven't been able to get it. I don't know how much detail you need from me on what I've done so far, but if somebody has some suggestions, or maybe you can contact me off the net, that would be great. I have a memory channel set. I use RT Systems software to set up to program the radio. And I have your call, the command reboot in your call, RPT1. I have the proper thing for that. Also the RPT2 with my call sign with the gateway suffix. And the repeater configuration is controls enabled and everything. So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions. Also had another question: what might be the best image to run with this setup? That's probably enough for me. KK6PR.
That'll get us talking. Thanks, Rick. So, let me ask you, why did you choose the Maryland? So long-time listeners know that of the three major images that are out there, the Maryland D-Star image is my least favorite. And I have my little list of 6 reasons here somewhere. I keep losing it. But why did you choose that one, may I ask?
Well, I'm not sure. I bought this from Gigaparts, and I was looking through on the web, and I think they provided an SD card with it that had, I guess, their preferred software, but mine didn't. My package didn't come with that, so I don't know. It was the first one I found on the net, and it seemed to work. But yeah, if there's a better one, I'd sure appreciate any advice on that.
Okay. So I know lots of people are getting ready with their push-to-talk buttons, so I'm going to throw it open and see if anybody wants to come forward with a recommended D-Star hotspot image for your Raspberry Pi that Rick could use. Come on ahead.
KD7AT.
KC9SIO.
Well, I guess that constitutes a pileup on D-Star, KD7AT, and KC9SIO. Let's start with John in Nopomo, California, K7AT. Go ahead, John.
Hey, thanks, Randy. And I am a very still neophyte when it comes to D-Star. When I first started out with a Raspberry Pi, I had it hooked up with a DV dongle, and I was using D-Star Commander. I learned how to set it up, Wi-Fi and headless Wi-Fi connection, either my home router or my smartphone hotspot. I then got a DV Mega to plug into the Raspberry Pi, put in the the D-Star Commander again, initiated it for the, actually I could have changed it, but I just started over again to tell it to do a DV Mega. Once again, I got it set up with headless to run either off of my home Wi-Fi or my smartphone hotspot. I have never had any issues. It is totally headless, and I have all of the commands in my ID51 or my 7100 in my vehicle in the UR field, your call field, to reboot, reset, 73, check it out, do whatever, and you name it. D-Star Commander, and you said it, Randy, it's the only way to go. It just works so good. Thanks so much, Katie7AAT.
Check, 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 check. Yep, all those check marks. I'm checking on the list there. So thanks, John, for that. Let's go to Steve, KC9SIO. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, well, I will second what John, KT7AAT, just said. When I started, I was initially trying to do it, my project, with a GMSK board, a Moen Starboard GMSK board. Of course, I've originally set that aside then. I've eventually set that aside for a while, but I was originally started with Maryland D-Star, and yeah, I've got pretty much the same gripes as you, Randy, but if not more so, if not even more. Anyway, when I got the DV Mega, I put D-Star Commander 2.1 on it, and I've had barely any problems. Any problems I have had have been strictly operator error. So other than that, no problems. I love D-Star Commander 2.1. It's wonderful. So anyway, that's my pick. Because I'm running my Raspberry, I'm now coming into my hotspot. I'm using my 51A Plus, running a tenth of a watt into my hotspot, of course, consisting of a Raspberry Pi 2 running D-Star Commander 2.1 with a DV Mega. So, and like I said, I barely have any problems with it. Any problems I have had have been strictly operator error. So, anyway, I'll just turn it back over to you, Randy. Those are my thoughts. KC9SIO.
Good thoughts. Yeah, appreciate that. D-Star Commander as well. So, okay, here I'm going to whip through my little list of gripes with the Maryland image. And, okay, the first one is that the latest image that runs on the Raspberry Pi 3 is not even available for download. You have to request it through their forum, and then they'll send you a link that works for 24 hours, and if you don't get it within 24 hours, you have to request it again, which has happened to me. So it's very inconvenient. The only one Maryland image that they make available on the web is a really old one. It requires special software to burn it. The regular Win32 disk imager doesn't work with it. It uses an unusual Wi-Fi configuration program on its desktop YCD, which is not the standard one for Raspberry Pi. It boots into low-res video mode. I don't know why it does that, so I guess they're assuming that you're never gonna, I don't know why it does that. The graphical user interface has been customized so that instead of double-clicking on things, you single-click it and it executes it, which is contrary to what's normal. The script IP address, when it boots up, crashes. Ouch. It won't connect to my Galaxy Note 5. I don't know why it wouldn't do that. Also, the last gripe is that it's such a huge download. It's a 3 gigabyte download. Why couldn't they didn't compress the image like all the other images so that when you boot it up, it expands automatically. It's already been expanded, and you have to download the whole expansion, which is mostly just a bunch of zeros. So anyway, there's my gripe list for Maryland. D-Star Commander, Rick, I think that's the one you want to try, and it already has all those commands that you can issue in the your call field. They already work. Let's go back to Rick in Crooked River Ranch, Oregon, KK6PR.
Okay, well, I sure appreciate the advice, and I think rather than spend any more time trying to get this to work, I'll go with the D-Star Commander. And I do have it set up headless, so the only thing plugged into it right now is the power adapter, but I could go with a battery, so it is portable. But yeah, I think I'll spend try and get that up and running this evening if it isn't too much trouble. I sure appreciate the advice, and I hope to check in more often now. I had a DVAP that I used for a couple of years, and I had no problems with that. So I kind of like it doesn't do all the reflectors and everything, so I think I'm going to like this DV Mega a lot better. Anyway, thanks for the advice, and 73 to everybody. This is KK6PR.
Quick comment, AAT.
Okay, quick comment from John K7AAT. Go ahead.
Yeah, unless anyone else has come up with a way to make a DV dongle work with X reflectors, and I have been all over the internet and gone into the host files and did all the cutting and the pasting and all of that stuff. I found out with the DV Mega plugged right into the Raspberry Pi, I can connect all the X reflectors I want. That's part of that WL, W, whatever you know it's called, Randy. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, with the DV Mega, it works great for getting into X reflectors, and you can program those right into your ID51. KD780.
Right, so the DV dongle, if you're using Robin's DV Tool software that's specifically made to work with the DV dongle, yeah, X reflectors don't work. You need third-party software. So, for example, I'm using WinDV, also called DV Node for Windows, which gets into X reflectors just fine, and I'm using DV dongle. So, yeah, with the standard software that Robin gives you, it doesn't work, and it's designed that way. He doesn't want you to connect to the X reflectors. Couple of things there for you, Rick, as you're looking into that software. There are two versions of D-Star Commander. One is for the DV Mega, and the other one is for everything else. Be sure to get the one for the DV Mega. And the way it works is it's really nice headless because you download the image. It's a zip file, and then you get the image out and you burn that to the card like you do for everything else. Then there's a little Windows executable that's also in that zip file. So you run that before you take the SD card out of your Windows PC where you just burned it. You run this Windows executable and it asks you some questions. That automatically configures the D-Star Commander software with your call sign and a few other things, so that all you have to do is plug it in and turn it on, and off it goes. Everything's already been configured, so that's one of the things that's nice about it. Anyway, good luck, Rick, and appreciate that. Oh, and the third one that I sometimes talk about is my second favorite. Okay, it's fallen to third favorite, is the Western D-Star image. Also really good and kept up to date. Second favorite now is Compass Linux, but it's kind of more of a roll you're on. So anyway, appreciate that, Rick. Thanks for stopping by. Good to hear from you. Thanks to John and Steve there for contributing. Let's open it up for anybody else that has a subject for us to talk about tonight. Come on ahead.
KC9TAT.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Tango Alpha Tank, Chris, Elmwood Park, Illinois, saying good evening.
W68 KC9TAT.
Okay, so I got KC9TAT and W6AAX. Now, KC9TAT, you have a very unusual setting in your call field. You're trying to call sign route to the WB9FDZ repeater, it looks like, module C. So your call field should be CQ. If looks like you're coming in through the NS9RC repeater. So I heard you just fine, but you have a invalid, it looks like, your call setting, KC9TAT. Come on ahead.
Okay, forgive me, I'm new to D-Star. I believe I'm registered with that repeater, so I'm still learning my way on this thing here. I got a far way to go. But no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm hearing you just fine. It's just that you need to. I'm guessing if you have 51 or 31 or something, you need to set it to use reflector in the to field. Yours says /WB9FDZC, which means you're trying to call sign route to a certain repeater. Anyway, yeah, so you need to set it to use reflector. And that's okay. Tell us your name, though, so I can get you down my log. So let's go back to KC9TAT. What's your handle?
Okay, well, you got Chris on this end, Chris Gabor, and we're out here in Elmwood Park, Illinois.
Very good, Chris. Thanks for dropping by tonight. Great to hear from you. And I don't want to jump all over you and say, you're doing it wrong, but keep hacking away at it. You're sounding good there, and you're getting in the repeater just fine. Just got to figure out how to set that to field to use reflector when you want to talk. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate that. Let's go to W6AAX. Come on ahead.
Hi there, Randy, and everybody else on the Raspberry Pi Net. This is Al, W6AAX in Temecula, California. I know you want to move on, probably another subject, but, real quickly, I've had a DVAP. I've been using a DVAP for many years now, and that thing is bulletproof. However, just at the very beginning of the year, I'm starting using it with the Raspberry Pi, which I'm on now, and D-Star Commander image, which has been working really, really nice. I too had some issues with the Maryland image when I first got the Raspberry Pi, but about after 2 days, I gave up on it and used the Commander, and it's just working great. Little hiccups every once in a while, but hey, I know, they're perfect. My only gripe is that there's no force disconnect once you have in D-Star tool, which comes in handy every once in a while, but other than that, I think it's the best out there right now. So, and it's a good idea. I know this has been mentioned before. Steve has mentioned this too. Probably is to have a backup image. Make yourself another little micro SD card and carry that with you as a just in case. So I've had to replace it only one time now in the last couple of months. Anyway, thank you for doing that, and I'll return it back to you.
That's a good point, Al. Appreciate that. Yep. And even if you don't have a backup SD card, you can use the same software that you use to write that SD card to read an image from it. So you can make a copy of the SD card using that software and store it on your hard drive. That way later, if you ever want to just, your settings got all screwed up or whatever, it doesn't work anymore, it doesn't boot, whatever, you can always just make a new copy from the one you stored on your hard drive. Anyway, appreciate that. Yep, and D-Star Commander is great. I think lots of folks like it. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. You mentioned that there was nothing in there to force a disconnect, which to me, what I think you mean is you're listening to a long rag chew of some guys that are not leaving 1 second between their QSO back and forth, and you can't, there's not enough room for you to stick a U command in there to unlink so you don't have to listen to them anymore. If you use the IRC DDB remote program on your smartphone, you can use that to remotely control your Raspberry Pi hotspot. Really handy thing. So if you do have a Raspberry Pi hotspot, you really want to get that IRC DDB remote program and get it working. It allows you to just control your Raspberry Pi hotspot just rapidly, and you can disconnect those guys that won't stop talking. So you can move on to another one where you can hear things that you really want to hear about. Like the Raspberry Pi D-Star Net. Thanks, Al. Let's see if there's anybody else that has anything else for us. Come on ahead.
Hey.
This K2AMF, guys.
Oh, looky there. We got two K2 stations. We had K2ILH, and we had K2AMF. That's Neil. He's here at Spokane. Hi, Neil. Stand by, Neil. Sec. Let's go to K2ILH first. K2ILH. Come on.
Very good. Thank you, and good evening to all. My name is Bill. We're located in western New York, between Buffalo and Niagara Falls. And I'm talking with my ID51 through a hotspot, which I used for many years, consisting now of a Motorola GM300 and
Raspberry Pi and a Starboard. And I just wondered if anybody uses Starboards anymore. This has been running with the Maryland D-Star image since last year, and before that with the Western image. And it's been completely satisfactory for me. I really like it. As I say, it's been running for several years. Just sits there in the corner of the basement and cranks away. I have it set for half an hour. It'll disconnect. So if I fall asleep, it'll shut things off. I'm actually lying in bed because it's coming on 11 o'clock here. Back to you, K2ILH Portable.
Very good, Bill. Yeah, don't go to sleep yet. I got another question for you. Right when you said the Motorola Node radio model that your Starboard uses, there was a little pop there, and I didn't get that. It was a Motorola something, and I wanted to find out which Motorola Node radio you use with your Starboard. By the way, that's what I use here. I run a Simplex hotspot with a Starboard. And my Node radio is an ICOM 208H. So I was looking to repurpose that and find maybe a cheaper radio that I could buy used surplus somewhere. Maybe that one works. And so the question then for you, which Motorola radio are you using for your Node, and did you have to build a special cable for it? Go back to you, Bill, there in New York.
Yeah, very good. This is K2ILH. That's a GM300 Gulf Mexico 300. It's a mobile radio configuration, but it only runs 10 watts. It can run continuously. Mostly it was designed for point-to-point data. And I'm going through I think it's a 16-pin connector, flat cable connector on the rear, and into the configuration with the Starboard. That's the cable that I had to make up special, using a flat cable that I had, and it worked right off, and it's cranking away, and I can run it 100% of the time, no problem. Back to you, K2ILH here.
W7SS.
Okay, W7SSK has a comment there. So thanks, Bill. A GM300 with a 16-pin data cable connector on the back and a custom-made cable for that. I imagine it's not really all that custom. I think those are used a lot for Echolink and IRLP and all that kind of stuff. So go to W7SSK. Go ahead.
Yeah, did you call Randy? I didn't touch the push to talk. If you're calling me, I'll stand by and listen. W7SSK.
Yeah, right when Bill was ending up there, your call sign popped up, so it must have been a ghost leftover or something. Sorry about that. That's okay. All right, well, thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. I think I got the info. The GM300 with the 16-pin connector. I'm going to have to go look on eBay and see how much those go for. Anyway, so let's go next to K2AMF. That's Neil here in Spokane. Hi, Neil. How's it going?
Couldn't be better. I have nothing to add to you guys, but I sure enjoyed listening and learning about D-Star. And you may have noticed from your logs that I've moved the reflector and
chose a different reflector and listened to some stuff. Of course, this is after 10. And then I put it back where I found it, and then I turned it, well, if Mike Fry. Anyway, I know how to follow the instructions, which was a lot of fun, actually. And then I think I said before that the clarity of the digital stuff is just so sweet to my ears. I really, really like that. And I really like this 31 Alpha radio. It's just really nice, really, really nice. This is Neil, K2A, man.
Very good, Neil. Thanks for keying up, saying howdy. Yeah, and I see you're on our local repeater here in Spokane, and great to hear that you're able to figure out how to cause it to link and unlink and putting it back. And yeah, so our Spokane repeater disconnects from the usual reflector at 10 p.m. The idea being that those night owls who want to go see what's happening elsewhere in the world, they're welcome to do that, and it's not bothering anybody. Then our repeater hooks back up at 6 a.m. in the morning to our usual reflector 29 alpha. So, and even when other folks aren't using it, you're still welcome to do that, Neil, and disconnect it. And it eventually will go back where, to 29 alpha, where it usually hangs out automatically. So if you forget to do that, don't worry about it. Great to hear you, Neil, and glad you're having fun there on D-Star, and thanks again for coming in saying hello. Let's open it up to anybody else who just wants to say hello, or if you have a question, go with that. Come on ahead.
W1AYC. Good evening, guys, and enjoying what I've been hearing, and it's always a learning experience. Anyway, I actually had a failure earlier, and I was wondering if you could tell me if the audio is okay. We had a situation where one of the fans inside the computer kind of went haywire and was making so much noise that's all people could hear when I was transmitting. So I was wondering if that was any better, and I'll send it back to you, W1AYC, and I'll be listening out.
Perfect audio. Nothing strange about it at all. Sounded just great, as good as any other D-Star station. So thanks for that. W1AYC, yours was great. I saw also VA7RC in there. So stand by. We're going to just double check there. W1AYC, great audio. Come on back.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much for that. And like I say, I had to end up pulling that fan out of this thing. And so now we have a situation where we have to manually boot this when we turn it on. But we're going to live with it for now. Anyway, we'll say 7-3. And thank you for the opportunity to let me join in. Thanks again, guys. 7-3. W1AYC, back to you.
N6CVE.
Excellent. Hopefully it stays cool without a fan in it. Okay, also got N6CZE in there as well. Let's go next to VA7RC. Come on ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everybody on Raspberry Pi D-Star Net tonight. Just kind of reading the mail here and enjoying all the comments. I'm running an open spot and I'm real happy with that. But you were talking about different images and stuff. I got a friend with a DVAP, and one of them is running a Maryland image, and the other guy's running. I don't remember what he's running. I was going to make him up a D-Star Commander one. Which one do you think is better? Easier to use? I'm not a Linux guy, so I need something pretty easy.
Well, if you're going to set it up, a lot of the difference between them is the setup. So if you're setting it up for him, then he's going to say, well, they're all the same because you already set them up perfect. But I think everybody agrees the D-Star Commander is so easy to set up, and it's just, once you set it up, it has all the features, it's working, and the X reflectors, and the commands to reboot the Raspberry Pi and shut it down, that kind of stuff. It's just the easiest setup, that's for sure. So yeah, I think my order of recommendation would be D-Star Commander for ease of setup and working well. Then I like Western D-Star, which of course comes from Great Britain, and then we have Maryland, if you can get those guys to send you the latest one, and if you like to roll your own, you can do that with Compass Linux. So D-Star Commander, I think, is the easiest there. Warren, back to you.
Okay, that's one of the ones I tried for him, but he's running an ID51. Does he have to? Is there any extra commands we have to program in the radio? Because it wouldn't. It looked like the DPAP was recognizing it, or was configured to boot, for green light click flashing, but we couldn't get it to do any talking at all.
Okay, so yeah, it should. I think sometimes some people try to make too many changes to the settings. So just go through the little program that it has that configures it for you. It will ask you only the questions that it needs to know to set it up most easily. And so that's the little Windows executable that comes in the zip file that you run before you take the SD card out of your Windows computer, of course. Then what you want to do is program some of the Your call sign memories in your ID51 so that you can issue commands to the Raspberry Pi to halt or to reboot or to update to do the update of the host files, which you may occasionally need to do. And I like to put in additional link commands in my Your call sign memory so it makes it easy to connect up to 38 Charlie or 29 Alpha or something like that. So yeah, a little bit of programming in there. It takes a little tinkering, and sounds like he's got a good Elmer. That's you. Go ahead, Warren.
Yeah, okay, we were probably just about had it then, so maybe I'll give it another try. I can't remember what image he's running now. It was V7LE set it up for him. And he set it up as a repeater, whatever. To me that makes no sense because he's running on a simplex DVAP, so it's not really a repeater per se, but Ted said he set it up as a repeater. It's under one of Ted's call signs, so. Anyway, it seems to be working now, so we'll quit playing with it. If it's not broke, I don't fix it. So we'll see what happens next time around.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, good luck with that, and good to hear you again, Warren, from Prince George. Been there a couple of times, so cool place. I'll let you say your call sign and close out there, and we'll move on to, I got one other station to get to yet.
Okay, we'll say 7-3, Whiskey 4, Lima Kilo Sierra, VA7 Romeo Charlie.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. This is W4LKS. This is the Raspberry Pi D-Star Net on Reflector 38 Charlie. Let's go next to N6CZE. Come on ahead.
Well, a very good evening to you, sir. This is N6CZE. We're in Montclair, California. And interesting listening. I always enjoy all the talk about the Raspberry Pis and the various ways people use to set things up, the code pages and the different ways. Right now I'm using the DV dongle, but we do have a DV Mega on a Raspberry Pi 3, and we're using that frequently with an ID51A plus, and the D-Star Commander setup works really, really well for me. It just seems like it's very bulletproof. It works all the time. It just never seems to fail, knock on wood. But I did pick up a DV4 Mini, and although it seems to work good, I don't think it's quite as stable as the DV Mega with the Raspberry Pi. And then probably everybody's got their own thought about that. But to me, the DV Mega works a little bit better. Anyway, just wanted to thank you guys for doing the net there. We do appreciate it. We always learn something on here, and we're just going to go ahead and listen out the rest of the evening. So with that, back to you, sir. N6CZ.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Yeah, and that's what I've heard from other DV4 Mini owners is that I think the hardware is good, but the software just not quite stable enough yet. And that thing's been around a while. You would think they would have it fairly stable. I think they're working on the DMR side, the other stuff. So anyway. D-Star Commander is rock solid, and that's what I'm running in my car, my DVAP setup in my car that I was describing earlier. And, of course, I'm using my DV dongle to talk through my computer right now with the studio-type microphone. Let's see if there's anybody else out there that wants to just key up and say howdy and tell us about their setup. Come on ahead.
N8CQX.
I got N8CQX. And I got Bob and Camarillo W6CJX. So stand by, Bob. Let's go first to N8CQX.
Hi, Randy and the group. My name is Johnny. I live in North Canton, Ohio. I'm running a DVAP with a Raspberry Pi and running D-Star Commander. When I set up D-Star Commander, I had a few problems, and I ended up having to do it manually. He gives manual instructions, and that worked perfectly. I was able to get everything I needed to work the system, and haven't had any problems since. It's a great system. I really like it. And I'm running a Raspberry Pi 3. I like that one a lot because it's got wireless built in also. Anyway, back to you, Randy. This is N8CQX.
Great, Johnny. Thanks for joining us tonight, and I appreciate your telling us about your setup there. And I did have to do that, I must admit, when I was first learning how to do this. And I was trying to figure out how that little executable program works. So, yeah, you can always plug in a keyboard and a monitor and a mouse and use it just like any other one, set it up manually. Let's see, I got, so thanks Johnny in Ohio, appreciate that. Let's go next to Bob and Camarillo W6CJX. How are you doing there, Bob?
Well, we're doing really good here, Randy. Good to hear you tonight. Glad Steve has the night off. We were taking bets to see if Steve was going to do the net tonight. Poor Steve. So he loves it, and we all love doing that control, so I do too. Yeah, I'm running, let's say I have two dedicated hotspots, one in the car, just like you were saying, a Raspberry Pi with a regular red DVAP. I'm looking at a blue dongle. See, that's what happened. I use the blue dongle too for the net. And then I have the same thing, Raspberry Pi with a red DVAP in the house. That's what I'm going through now. But I'm going through the 5100 into that. But yeah, D-Star Commander all the way. I mean, I kind of know Bob
W6KD. I wouldn't say personally, I haven't actually met him, but I've held many conversations with him over the years. But I feel like I know him. And I haven't tried anything else, so that's I'm kind of biased, I guess, when it comes to the image. But I would definitely say you can't really go wrong with the D-Star Commander. Other than that, yeah, I have no troubles with either one. I can boot it up in the car, use my little Verizon jetpack, and it takes me 2 seconds, and I'm linked in whatever reflector, X reflectors, or whatever I want to do. It's wonderful. So that's all I really have, just to add a little more icing on the cake. You can never have enough icing on the cake. And just invite everyone tomorrow night. I'll be doing that control over here on Reflector, well, over here, but over there on Reflector 12 Alpha at 8 p.m. Pacific for the Papa System Tuesday night D-Star TechNet, or CheckNet. I like to call it a CheckNet, but sometimes we'll throw a question around here and there, and but you're more than welcome just to check in and say hi, come on over. And a lot of stations I heard tonight are regulars come in on Tuesday nights over there. So 8 p.m. Pacific, Reflector 12 Alpha, and I'll be there. At least I hope I will. Back to you, Randy. Great job tonight, as always. You're a mentor to all. W6CJX, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that, and I think it takes one to know one. So, and I will be joining your net there on Reflector 12 Alpha at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Except on Tuesday nights, I have a date Tuesday date night for me. So me and my lady friend would like to go out after work, and we're usually then doing other stuff until late in the evenings after your net's over. So yeah, she wouldn't stand around anyway while I'm listening to the net. She would stand there tapping her foot with her arms folded, going, "You're not paying attention to me." So yeah, I can't do that. Appreciate it, Bob. Let's see, it's W4LKS here with your host. It's after 8:03 Pacific time. We're starting to wind down. Let's see if anybody else has anything for us. Come on ahead.
89 GBT. 89
A-B-9-F-J K-C-9-U-D-A.
Okay, got AB9FJ. That's, first it was KD9GBT. Oh, that's a tongue twister. He's coming in W9YR, also AB9FJ, and also KC9UDA. All right, let's go first to KD9GBT. That's a tongue twister. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone on the Raspberry Pi D-Star Net. This is John in Urbana. As you heard, coming through the W9YR repeater, I usually run a Raspberry Pi with a DV Mega, and lately I found that you can actually run it headless, and you can use your Android phone with an app called VNC Viewer, because it has the VNC software built into the Raspberry Pi image, and then you can actually control the Raspberry Pi through your Android phone, which is very convenient. So that's with an image that was put out by KB5RAB, and it also does DMR, which I've recently gotten into. But anyway, that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for checking me in. This is John, KD9GBT. Great Big Tuna, saying 73.
Yeah, that helps me with the tongue twister there. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Yeah, good point about VNC software. So, VNC, you could use that on your phone or just about any Windows or Mac computer or Linux, other Linux computer for that matter. So, Very, very cool. So your image there has a VNC server in it and allows you to control everything, even in the graphical user interface mode. Very good. Appreciate you keying up and saying howdy. Good to hear from you. Let's go next to Wayne, also there, AB9FJ. Come on ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Randy. This is Wayne. I'm here in Champaign-Urbana, coming to the W9YR repeater. I just want to say hi. No news or announcements or anything. Talk to you later. AB9FJ.
And you'll hear Wayne as host of this net later on in the month. Each Monday night's a different person, so thanks, Wayne. He's one of the net control operators here. Appreciate hearing from you. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time. KC9UDA was the next one. KC9UDA. Come on ahead.
Good evening, this is Tom KC9UDA up here in Arizona, Wisconsin. Just wanted to check in at one of the town with that. Turn it back over to you, KC9UDA.
Very good. Got you down there, KC9UDA. You're on the log, so appreciate you keeping up saying howdy. You got any others out there? Come on ahead now. K7MTV, so Dave, I consider you a welcome here. I'm Marcus too, KI7JD. Let's go first to Dave in Missoula, K7MTV, come on ahead.
Good evening, Randy and everyone. I just have one question for you to end the net with. When's winter going to end? K7MTD.
I wish I knew. I was just thinking today, so let's see, my son's birthday is March 5th. And when he was 1 year old, I took him for his first bike ride, and it was like 70 degrees, warm and sunny. And so, yeah, he was riding on the back in the kiddie seat of my bicycle, and he just loved that. I yearn for some warm and sunny. Yeah, I don't know. We got more snow here in Spokane. It's just crazy. Sunshine, and then snow, and then rain, and it's just bitter cold. I'm with you, Dave. It's got to stop. Thanks a lot for that. Appreciate it. Let's go to Martin, KI7JD. Good evening, Martin.
Yeah, good evening, Randy. Yeah, I go with what Dave says. You know, enough is enough already. We had the same weather up here after just getting back from San Diego for 2 months. I should have turned the car around and stayed down there if I known it was going to stay cold, and couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to do down here with the rain and the snow there. So, yeah, another problem I had down there was being so close, since we had a condo on the ocean, near the ocean there. I had the hotspot with me and could never get the jetpack to fire up there. I'd always get no service available, so there was some strange RF and corrosion and just some strange things going in that one building there. So I thought my Pi and jetpack was defective, but I drove around town over there and tried different reflectors, and everything hooked up fine. So yeah, I hooked it up back home here too, and it's hooking up just fine there. I'm able to connect anywhere I want to and get any repeater I want to, so everything's back in business again. But I did take advantage of the weather today with a couple of hours of sunshine there to get over there and prune my hydrangeas. I wanted to do that before we left on the trip, but didn't get around to it. But got it all done now, though, but still a little bit more yard work to do if we ever get get a couple days of dry sunshine there. So that's pretty much it here, Randy. Back over to you, KI7JD.
Well, I know you were down there for a while, so you probably got a nice suntan, and it's probably wasting away now. So, yeah, hopefully, well, March is supposed to come in like a lion and go out like a lamb, right? But so far, every single day has started like a lion and then ended like a lamb. I'm hoping it's going to be more lambish pretty soon. Well, it is 8:12, and I think we're going to need to wind it up here. Let's make this the last call for any check-ins for the Raspberry Pi D-Star Net right here on the Dayton Hamventions Reflector 38 Charlie. Come on ahead now.
W8, W, A9LKZ, AB9FJ.
Okay, I got 3 key ups there, W8 WWW, W89LKZ, and AB9FJ there, Wayne. Let's go first to W8WW. That's a lot of W's. Go ahead.
Hey, sorry for the late check-in, but I have a question. Maybe it's been answered. Just jumping on in the last 20 minutes. What is the difference between the D-Star Commander and the MMDBM software, or is there any difference?
Well, I'll take a stab at it, and then I'll throw it open for everybody to correct all the errors that I spout. D-Star Commander is an image for Raspberry Pi, which gives you a D-Star hotspot. And it has lots of features and stuff that make that a full experience doing D-Star only. MMDBM is a multi-mode digital voice thingamajigger, and I believe that is software for your Raspberry Pi that allows it to do multiple digital modes. And I'm not even sure how well it does D-Star, so yeah. D-Star Commander, digital hotspot for your Raspberry Pi, full featured and easy to set up. MMDBM has a lot more stuff, and basically that is just a program, so you still need a computer, and there may be images with that on there. So let me throw it open, see if anybody else has something to add to that. Come on in.
KE1PVH.
On that, doesn't sound like there's any other contributors. I do have an additional question. I'm running the IRC DVB gateway as well as the MMDBM and hitting D-Star right now, so I assume that's working pretty well. I'm curious about the control commands for like rebooting the Raspberry Pi and whatnot. Is that done in the IRC DVB gateway, or I don't know? I'm just trying to sort out these different modules.
Okay, and we did have one key up there, so before I go into that, let's go to Dave in Massachusetts, KB1PVH. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, I think I switched my channels here on the radio halfway through, but he was asking about the MMDVM. He questioning the software, the MMDVM host software, or the actual MMDVM board?
Well, it sounds like he has a image for his Raspberry Pi which has our IRC DVB gateway in addition to MMDVM. And so let's go back. W8WWW, that's Jeff, I believe. Jeff, does that sound right? You got an image that also has the MMDVM and the IRC DVB gateway?
Yeah, that is Jeff, and that is correct. I'm running the DV Mega dual band on a Raspberry Pi 3, and the particular image I'm running has the IRC DVB gateway as well as MMDVM running. I'm not running DMR or anything, just D-Star at the moment, but I plan on going towards DMR as well. And I was just curious because I booted up some other images on my Raspberry Pi, and I saw some different things, like on the Western D-Star image, that there were some additional control mechanisms as well as voice repeat and voice status type of options that I don't see in this version that I'm running. And I'm wondering if that's a feature of IRC DVB gateway or MMDVM.
Okay, well, those are features of not the gateway portion of it, but the D-Star repeater portion of it. The D-Star repeater is listening for those commands and acting on them. And yes, it can do that. It does require some setup and configuration, but yes, it can. Let's go back to Dave in Massachusetts for a second, and let's see if he had something to add. So maybe Dave can explain what is the MMDVM software that would be on your Raspberry Pi image. What's that going to do for you? Dave, KB1PVH. Go ahead.
The MMDVM software, or the MMDVM host software, takes the place of the D-Star software that's on most of the images. And what the MMDVM host software does is it allows you to run DMR, D-Star, and with your DV Mega. But if you've got like a repeater or a hotspot or whatever, you can, and the MMDVM Fusion, DMR, D-Star, and P25. I just switched my repeater. I just got a new repeater. I ditched my GM300s, and I got the deal on the Yaesu DR1X for $600 there. That's special that Yaesu's running. I just got that. I got an MMDVM board, and I just fired up that repeater over the weekend, and I'm just fine-tuning it now. But it's set up for D-Star and DMR, and I'm going to add the P25 and Fusion to it shortly. But yeah, that software takes the place of the old D-Star repeater software.
Okay, so Dave, do you know, like the D-Star repeater software has the capability of executing commands that you would put in your call field. Do you know if the MMDVM host software has that capability as well?
I think the only thing you can do is your typical, link, unlink commands, info. I don't think it provides you with the shutdown, like the shutdown and update your host files, like like the other images have. I haven't gotten that deep into it. I'm just starting to learn it and wrap my brain around it, which is there's a lot going on with that software. So and the board. So I don't believe there is anything out of the box type commands to do your reboot and update host files like you can with all the other images.
Okay, real good. Thanks a lot for that, Dave. Appreciate that. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, and it's most appreciated. Let's go back to Jeff there for a sec. We still have W89LKZ waiting, and we'll get to you in just a sec. Let's go back to Jeff, W8WWW. Doesn't sound like it can do those things, but I just know that MMDVM host software is still pretty new, and people are still trying to get up to speed with it. And I believe it is being updated rapidly as well. So you might have to do some Googling there, Jeff. Go back to Jeff. Go ahead.
Thanks for all the feedback. I really appreciate it. I know I don't want to hold up everyone's time. Just on one final, and then I'm clear. What should I be running? Maybe the D-Star image? Is that from W6KD? With that, I'm clear. Thanks.
Yep, that's the one we've been talking about a lot tonight. And yeah, you go just Google D-Star Commander. And the first one will take you to the W6KD. It's a chat forum, and then the first message in the chat forum has a link to download the software. And it has, like I said earlier, a DV Mega version and another version for all the other devices. So anyway, yep, that's the one. W6KD, that's Bob from Colorado Springs. And if you have questions about it, so you go over to the Papa System, or it's not Papa System, it's the D-Star Roundtable Net. It's on Thursday nights. I believe it starts at 7 o'clock now. They changed it so it's a little bit earlier, but he is usually on there every week and answering questions about D-Star Commander and so on. So look that one up, D-Star Roundtable Net for Thursday night. Let's go. I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks for jumping in there. Good to hear from you. Let's move on to W89LKZ. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening. This is Ralph of WA9LKZ. We're north of Chicago through the NS9RC repeater. And I just started listening to this net last week, so just wanted to say it was interesting. I'm learning from the beginning, so just would say good evening and tell you I was out there and call it a night. Back to you. This is WA9LKZ.
Real good, Ralph. Got you down there. Appreciate it. Thanks for keying up, saying howdy. Good. Thanks for dropping by and listening. And, you know, you soak it up for a while, and then pretty soon you're spitting it out again, helping other people. So that's the way it works. That's the way I used to do it as well. So very good. Well, it's 8:24, and usually we go for an hour or so. It seems like I always go longer, but I am kind of tired. I think I'm going to wind it up here for the night. If there's any other stations that I missed, I apologize for that. But not to worry, we'll be right back here, same bat channel, same bat time next week for the Raspberry Pi D-Star Net right here in Reflector 38 Charlie. This is Randy, W4LKS. Pleasure to be your host tonight. Thanks to everybody for dropping by and joining in and making it better. 7-3 all stations from Randy, W4LKS. Good night.
This is 89FJ with a quick after-the-net question. I just tried to do a QRZ lookup in Firefox, and seems to think Firefox is not doing JavaScript. So I was just wondering, has anybody